welcome to the first episode of Ep1. I have the wonderful honour of introducing Professor Jane Frost, who is the Interim Dean of Nursing and Midwifery at Western Sydney University. And I believe we have K2D2 here,
yes.
And Robert as well. And these are some of the friends that Professor Frost has brought into the community at the university.
I do have human friends as well.
You have way too many human friends. I think this is just a very subtle way of balancing that, Jane. Very nice. They may make a bit of noise, but that would just add to the atmosphere. Professor Frost, thank you for joining me today. I am thrilled to have the opportunity to ask you a few quick questions. They're going to be very brief, unlike me most times. Have you always been a curious learner and educator?
Yes, I think I have. I've done quite a lot of education. Obviously, I've done my nursing degrees. I was a nurse practitioner, so I've got a master's and obviously then a doctorate. But I think I recognised very early into my academic career that people learn differently. And I really fell in love with simulation and being able to see those aha moments that people had when they were in a classroom. And that really gave me a sense of purpose, and I liked to be able to do things differently.
And I have to say, I think in the time I've known you, I see you as an absolute innovative leader in the space of bringing technology into education, teaching, learning, simulation. I don't think I've met anyone else who can bring that energy and enthusiasm and also create the vision for the organisation. With that said, and with our friends kicking off here, Robert, please behave. What inspires you most about the impact of technology in teaching, learning and simulation?
I just think that there is such diverse things that are happening now. We have technology, we have AI, we have bliss rooms, which we're going to talk about. We have virtual reality, mixed reality. I was an early adopter of mixed reality many years ago. And I think that our learners now expect these experiences, and they learn in very different ways. With, I'm going to say, the invention of TikTok and Instagram, that wasn't around when I was learning how to be a nurse. We actually had to go to a library and physically look through a journal rather than having everything at the tip of your fingers. We need to be moving with the times. We need to make sure that it's engaging our learners, because if we try and teach in other ways.
Thanks, Robert. And this is interesting because Robert has many talents and he likes the Bee Gees, so it's good that he started grooving to it. Sorry, Jane.
That's okay. I think you turned the music on by tapping his head. But that's
oh, did
okay.
I? Is that what happens? There you go. And this is a good example of why a pre-brief in terms of using technology is very helpful.
I think with simulation you need to bring everything into, I use MaskEd, but I also use technology. We've developed an electronic medical record. There are lots of different elements to simulation. I don't think there's one size
fits all.
No, and I don't think there's one platform that fits every simulation that you want to do or every learning experience. I think you have to test them out and then use them for the best part of those
absolutely
platforms.
Yeah, some of it definitely has to be R&D, and I think anybody who sits on the fence and says that's not the case isn't maybe really reading the room, so to speak, especially Robert here. No, he's lovely. Next question, first bliss installation site across Australia and New Zealand for Simivation Interactive Technologies and Generate Spaces. What drew you to using bliss to advance simulation at Western Sydney University?
So very, very proud to be the first site to have a bliss room. And thank you so much, Simivation, for introducing us to the technology. I have been looking into the 360 immersive spaces and wanted to engage more with those. And what Bliss offered was that interactive nature for those spaces. And it's an amazing resource. We have been able to create some really innovative teaching and learning materials, and it's so engaging. We've got some escape rooms that we've built that we're now running competitions with other Bliss room holders in the UK. So it's an amazing technology to be part of, and I know that there are a lot more starting in Australia now.
Well, yes, thankfully, but that's all really, down to you and your vision for how you felt you could embed bliss at the university. And, there always has to be someone who's the first, and I'm thrilled that it's you and it's Western Sydney, and I think you're the most incredible ambassador and champion for bliss and what it stands for in, clinical simulation, teaching and learning. And you've been such a great advocate of simulation, so we're very grateful for that, as Generate Spaces are too. What scenarios have lent themselves best using the Bliss platform for you?
So I think that there are a multitude that are beneficial, and they need to be used for their strengths. So the anatomy and physiology is fantastic to show where organs are placed in the body. I think sometimes being able to manipulate the image and see different parts, so for example the heart, to be able to make it bigger and look at different elements is really good. We have created some content around ECG interpretation using the models of the heart so that it brings together different aspects, so you can actually see whereabouts in the heart the conduction is taking place, that then fit with the ECG. So that's been really good.
Yep.
We've also used it for multimodal simulation, where we have used simulated patients in the room, or mask out in fact, and then actually being able to care for a patient in a room that allows you to bring up and explore different elements. So we have a scenario where you can press on a hotspot to bring up the clinical notes, that brings up x-rays and things like that you can have at your fingertips, and then you can explore those and circle the area and really explain what's going on. So I think it has that real richness in the teaching experience.
Yes.
And for the learners, I think that they get the reality of the situation, and that makes it more realistic.
Yes, and I think I've personal experience of seeing some of the scenarios you've run here, and I think John Dewey, the kind of founding father of experiential learning, would be very excited to see how you're utilising the technology, and especially around the escape room and that collaborative piece. Because one thing that I hadn't considered as a consequence is you very quickly identify who's the one person who's going to jump in and answer that question straight away, even though they might be picking the wrong answer. So you then see the team forming, and then the collaboration, and then the critical thinking really playing out. That's the end of the questions I have for you. Professor Frost, thank you so much for joining us here today on our first Sim Bites, and couldn't ask to get to do this with anyone else other than yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you.